5 types of toilet witches cures with black magic to trap you. 5 types of toilet witches cures with black magic to trap you. They don't need chains to bind you. They only need your attention. In dark rooms, over foul waters, with whispers and mixtures. These witches conjure curses not to harm your body, but to infiltrate your mind. They aim low, hiding their rituals in the filth of toilets, menstrual blood, hair, and bodily waste, because they know shame is the easiest doorway into your spirit. But understand this, no black magic has power unless you believe in its power. You are not trapped by their tricks. You are trapped by your fear of them. These so-called toilet cures are not medicine. They are psychological warfare. They know if they can hook your emotion, they can guide your destiny. But what they don't want you to know is this: the greatest spell on earth is not witchcraft, it's your consciousness. And once you awaken to that truth, every curse collapses under the weight of your inner light. This is not a warning, it's a revelation. Fear is the real binding. The power of belief is the real spell. There is no power outside of consciousness, and yet the world constantly tries to convince you that your fate lies in the hands of others, especially those who practice dark arts under the guise of control, revenge, or love. But the truth is simple and unsettling. Nothing and no one can touch you unless your mind grants them permission. When we speak of toilet witches and their so-called cures, hair in dirty water, menstrual blood flushed with incantations, used underwear buried in grave dirt, it may sound primitive, even absurd, but these rituals are not designed to work physically. They're designed to work psychologically. The spell isn't in the waste. The spell is in the belief. The real weapon isn't in the bowl, it's in your awareness. The first kind of toilet which doesn't even need to know your name. She only needs to feed your fear. She knows the human imagination is the womb of all reality, and if she can plant a seed of dread, anxiety, or obsession within you, you will water it with your own thoughts. That is the curse. It's not the object. It's your interpretation of it. You think something external is happening to you when really the only thing that's been hijacked is your state of consciousness. The mind is the battlefield. These witches operate through symbolism, not power. They rely on you being unaware that you are the only real magician in your life. They don't come to harm your body. They come to influence your perception, to make you feel watched, tainted, stuck, or controlled. If they can infect your self-image, they can manipulate your outcomes, and they often succeed, not because their spell was powerful, but because you became afraid. You started asking questions like, what if it works? What if I'm cursed? And without knowing it, your inner dialogue became the incantation that made the spell real. Understand this: your feelings are the magic. If you accept fear, you activate bondage. If you feel stuck, your world will reflect limitation. This is why some people feel cursed after a simple argument. They've unknowingly cursed themselves through the mental movie they replay in their heads. But here's the deeper secret. Just as you can accept a curse through belief, you can dissolve it through knowing. The very moment you declare, nothing outside of me has power over me, the spell is broken, not gradually, instantly, because the only thing holding it together was your faith in its power. You are not a victim of black magic. You are a creator who's forgotten how divine you are. These toilet witches of prey on the part of you that doubts, that questions, that feels small and unprotected. They send dreams, signs, and strange coincidences, not because they are stronger than you, but because they know the imagination creates your experience, and they are trying to hijack your imagination with fear. But once you truly know that your inner state creates your outer life, the toilet becomes irrelevant, the witch becomes powerless, the substance becomes meaningless. There is no potion, powder, urine, or waste that can trap a soul that knows it is sovereign. Even if you were targeted, even if they buried something with your name on it, even that cannot stand against a mind that refuses to submit, you are not cursed, you are aware, you are not trapped, you are choosing. And in that awareness, all chains fall. The spell is belief, the curse is fear. The toilet is only a stage, and they are only actors playing on it. But you are the playwright. You decide the scene. The first trap, the first type of witchcraft they try to use is suggestion. He will never leave me. She will lose her beauty. He will always come back. These are not just words. They are intentions soaked in obsession and planted in the shadows. But no matter what someone else imagines about you, it only becomes true if your inner imagination aligns with theirs. You must accept the role they've written for you for their magic to manifest. But the moment you awaken and say, "That is not my identity," you take your power back. This is why the most powerful protection is not sage, oil, or salt, but awareness. When you know who you are, when you live from the knowing that your mind is the author of your life, no outside force can penetrate that authority. The only real trap is your own agreement with the fear. The witches know this. That's why they don't need to confront you. They work in secret because their success depends on you being unconscious of your own spiritual dominance. They hope you will fear, they hope you will worry, because fear is your creative power inverted. When you fear something, you feed it. When you ignore it with full confidence in your divinity, you starve it. So the first and most common type of toilet, which uses your fear as fuel, she relies on you interpreting her act as powerful. But I tell you now, the only power anything has over you is the power you grant it through belief. What you believe, you experience. What you reject in confidence cannot attach. Therefore, reject the lie. Reject the idea that you are weak or cursed or stuck. Reject the myth that someone else can command your destiny. And instead, accept this higher truth. You are the cause. You are the root. You are the creator. All things, even black magic, must bow before the one who knows their authority. The moment you stop believing in the spell, the moment you laugh at the ritual, the curse ends. Because fear is the real binding, and when you stop fearing, you are already free. The open door, the mind is the gateway to all binding. The most dangerous thing about black magic is not the ritual, it's the access point. And that access point is always the mind. It is not what the witch does in secret that traps you. It is what you accept in silence that binds you. The mind is the true gateway, and the toilet witches of this world do not need to break your door down to curse you. They only need to walk through the door you left open with ignorance, confusion, or unguarded emotion. You see, every single one of these toilet cures operates on a fundamental principle: penetrate the subconscious. They use the bathroom as a symbol of vulnerability, shame, and release. They choose what is considered dirty or impure because they know the human psyche associates those things with guilt, secrecy, and weakness. But what gives them power is not the act. It's the hidden belief system you carry deep within you that allows such imagery to make an impact. If someone flushes your name with urine, or speaks over your menstrual cycle, or hides used tissue with your DNA, the external ritual means nothing unless it registers as significant in your subconscious. And that significance only lands when you don't know who you are. The witches don't need to bind your hands. They only need to bind your thoughts, and they do it in silence by suggestion and through emotional manipulation. These aren't women pouring potions out of fairy tales. They're subtle, patient architects of psychic influence. They observe your insecurities, your heartbreaks, your fears of abandonment, and then they craft their rituals not to create reality, but to direct your imagination in a specific direction. If they want you to stay in a toxic relationship, they'll do a toilet ritual that amplifies your confusion and delays your clarity. If they want your lover to return to them, they'll send a binding spell that influences your dream world, so you wake up unsure, depressed, questioning your instincts. It's not physical, it's psychological. They don't need chains, they need your attention, and once they have it, they begin the subtle invasion. They don't force your door open, they wait for you to open it through self, doubt, pain, or longing. And once your mind is accessible, the spell doesn't even have to be strong. It just has to be suggestive. One strange dream, one weird encounter, one repeating number or recurring image, and suddenly you think something spiritual is happening to you. And it is, but it's happening through you, not to you. Your mind begins to interpret everything through the lens of their ritual. You wonder, why am I so tired? Or why do I keep thinking about this person? And without realizing it, your subconscious has taken their bait. That's how the second type of toilet which works through mental access. She crafts her spell to make you think about her intention. She works silently with psychological triggers because she knows thought is the bridge between spiritual suggestion and physical manifestation. And here's the part most people miss. It's not the spell that traps you. It's your repeated focus on the spell that creates a psychic groove so deep that your life begins to follow its path. You're not cursed, you're mentally looping. The trap was not outside, it was within, and the trapdoor was your own consciousness left unguarded. You accepted the idea that someone can do something to you rather than recognizing that all reality flows from you. Nothing can bind you unless your inner conversation agrees with it. The second witch preys on those who don't watch their thoughts. She doesn't need confrontation. She only needs your passivity. She needs you unaware. She needs you believing that thinking a thought is harmless, even if it's heavy with fear or despair. But your thoughts are seeds, and repeated thoughts are roots, and a rooted idea, even if it came from a lie, will bear fruit in your reality unless it is pulled up. That's why it's not enough to cleanse your space or cut cords. You must cleanse your mind. You must shut the door, not with superstition, but with awareness. When you realize that no one can speak over your life unless you echo their words in your imagination, the spell breaks. When you understand that their access only exists where your mind is unguarded, you reclaim your spiritual security. They want you distracted, they want you emotional, they want your attention scattered, because a scattered mind is an open gate. But a focused, disciplined, aware mind is a fortress, and no curse can dwell in a fortress of light. The witches using toilets, waste, and fluids are trying to exploit the lowest chakras of your body and the oldest wounds of your soul. They count on shame, they count on secrecy, but what they never expect is someone who is no longer afraid of darkness because they've illuminated their inner world. Once you close the door of your mind to suggestion, no toilet, no ritual, no spell can influence you. Your mind is holy ground, and nothing unclean can land where sacred awareness stands. The gateway is your thoughts, the trap is your attention, the spell is your imagination hijacked. But once you reclaim your imagination and direct it toward truth, beauty, clarity, and power, the witchcraft dissolves. There is no battle, no screaming, no drama, just light replacing shadow, and light does not argue with darkness. It just is. So when they come with their jars, their toilet water, their whispers and binders, smile, because they are reaching for your throne while sitting in their own dungeon, and the moment you realize your mind was never theirs to enter, they are locked out forever. Not by force, but by sovereignty. You are not under attack, you are under observation, because your mind is the gateway to all creation, and once you guard it with truth, nothing can pass without your permission. Fuel for the fire. Emotional energy is the currency of the unseen world. If there is one thing the unseen realm hungers for, it is emotion. Emotion is the fuel that gives rituals, intentions, and spells their momentum. Without emotion, there is no magic, only gestures. This is the third type of toilet witch, the kind who understands that your emotional energy is the currency that activates or collapses every unseen force. She doesn't simply rely on waste and water, hair and bodily fluids. No, she weaponizes your feelings. She studies your emotional patterns, your fears, your insecurities, your unhealed wounds. And she designs her black magic not to change the world directly, but to manipulate the frequency of your soul. These witches are not scientists, they are emotional architects. They build traps not with bricks, but with your own reactions. She may place something filthy in a toilet, recite her chants, and walk away. But the work is only just beginning. Because the real magic doesn't start when she flushes it. The real magic begins when you feel something, a sudden heaviness, a wave of confusion, a strange fixation. The toilet wasn't the altar. The emotion that follows is. That's the ritual she needs, not just your DNA, but your emotional signature. Because when you feel deeply, whether it be lust, hate, longing, or fear, you become energetically open. Emotion lowers your psychic guard. You become spiritually vulnerable not because emotion is wrong, but because unconscious emotion is directionless, and this is what she wants, not your mind, but your inner weather. The more turbulent your emotions become, the more she can imprint her own intention onto your field. This is how spells get charged, not with words alone, but with reactions. This is why after a ritual she may not contact you directly. Instead, she wants you to ruminate. She wants you to weep, obsess, worry, or explode. Because emotion is attention multiplied by intensity, and where your attention flows, energy grows. Think of emotion as spiritual blood. It feeds whatever you focus on, whatever you entertain, whatever you fear. If she can make you feel, she can make you feed, and many do this with precision. They wait until your soul is already fractured by heartbreak, betrayal, or confusion. Then they strike with something symbolic, hoping your own emotions will run wild and energize the trap. That's why you suddenly cry over someone you were healing from. That's why your energy drops in places it was once elevated. It's not always witchcraft, but if it is, it's because something in you has become reactive again. These toilet witches don't cast love spells. They cast emotional feedback loops. They know if they can get you to rehearse an old story, they can make that story live again. They aim to hijack your inner movie by reactivating your old wounds. The waste in the toilet is just a symbolic anchor. The real binding happens when your feelings get entangled with their spell. You must understand this. Your emotion is sacred. It is your power. When you cry, when you rage, when you love. It is a direct line into the depths of your being. And whatever you tie that emotion to becomes deeply rooted in your subconscious. So if she can make you cry over him again, you just tied your emotional power back to the past. If she can make you feel jealousy, confusion, or longing, you just plugged your divine energy back into a false story. That's the trap, that's the currency, and she's cashing in, but she cannot do this unless you are unaware of what you're feeding. Emotional discipline is not about becoming cold, it's about becoming conscious. When you feel something, pause and ask, who or what is benefiting from this feeling? If the emotion leads you toward freedom, clarity, healing, keep it. But if it drags you into obsession, despair, or mental loops, then it is not yours. It has been planted, not by a stronger will, but by one who knows how to make you surrender your strength through your own unguarded heart. The most powerful people are not those who never feel. They are those who feel deeply but choose carefully where their feelings land. Because once you feel something fully, you start to create from it, and this is the deepest secret the witches never want you to know. You are the spell, your emotion is the ritual, your reaction is the offering. The toilet is just a stage, your soul is the true altar, so guard it, honor it. Do not waste your tears on people who have conjured confusion. Do not waste your rage on situations designed to provoke you. Do not waste your desire on relationships rooted in bondage. Your emotion is sacred energy, and if you learn to master it, nothing, no witch, no ritual, no darkness can use it against you, the third which depends entirely on you leaking your power. And every time you lose yourself in unnecessary reactions, you light the fire for her. But if you learn to hold your center, to feel the emotion without being consumed by it, you break her spell before it ever starts. You turn her ritual into ash because the ritual needs fuel and your awareness cuts off the supply. These toilet witches thrive in the emotional shadows. They whisper, he doesn't love you, or she's taking what's yours. Or you'll always be alone, not because they can make it true, but because they need you to make it true by feeling it. But if you rise above the smoke and say, I choose peace, I choose clarity, I choose to redirect my energy, then their fire starves. Their spell ends not with drama, but with stillness. You are the temple, you are the altar, you are the current that powers the unseen, and if you withdraw your energy from darkness, all curses die of hunger. So feel, but feel with wisdom, respond, but respond with light, and know that your emotional mastery is the most powerful protection you will ever carry. No object flushed down a toilet has authority over the one who governs their own soul. The imaginal war, imagination is the true weapon. Both theirs and yours there is a battlefield that most never see, not because it is hidden, but because it is internal, and the weapon forged upon this battlefield is imagination. It is not the herbs, powders, liquids, or even the words of witches that trap you. It is the story you begin to tell yourself after the ritual has passed, the fourth kind of toilet which does not labor in dirt and secrecy because she enjoys it. She does so because she knows one great truth: what you repeatedly imagine becomes what you eventually experience, this which understands that the human imagination is the womb of all manifestation. She performs her rituals not for direct results, but to implant images, ideas, and inner movies inside you. She wants your imagination occupied, and she targets your spiritual womb, your creative power, through repetition and symbolism. This is why she uses the toilet. This is why she chooses places of waste, flushing, dirt, and shame. These are symbols, and your subconscious, the seat of imagination, does not argue with symbols. It accepts them. She flushes something down, buries your hair in soiled paper, or chants over menstrual blood, not to dirty your body, but to infect your inner eye with a false belief that you are bound, soiled, discarded, or erased. Her magic begins to work when you begin to imagine yourself as a victim, cursed, or unwanted. Once your imagination absorbs this false image and plays it over and over, your outer world begins to mirror what you've accepted within. This is the quiet tyranny of black magic. It doesn't fight your body. It fights for access to your inner screen. And the moment you surrender your imagination to a fear-based story, the witch's work is done. She doesn't need to return. She doesn't need to follow up. The image you carry does all the work for her. You become your own jailer, playing scenes of rejection, conflict, confusion, or failure, and wondering why they seem to appear in your outer life. But you forget. You're not reacting to what's happening. What's happening is reacting to you, and that's the hidden technology of spiritual warfare. It's not physical, it's imaginal. Every battle fought in the outer world was first fought in the unseen theater of imagination. And every spell cast by a toilet which is not aimed at your skin or your bank account, it's aimed at your inner mirror. She knows she doesn't need you to believe in her ritual. She just needs you to believe in your limitation. And how does she plant this belief? Through symbols, suggestion, and timing. She may cause you to experience strange coincidences after a ritual. You may lose something, an argument may erupt, a lover may pull away. These aren't the spell, they are the hooks that cause you to imagine you're under attack, cursed, or doomed. And if you begin to dwell in that thought, if you begin to accept that idea as your truth, then your imagination has been hijacked. The witch does not bind your body, she binds your inner imagery. But here lies the power you must reclaim. If imagination can be used to bind you, then imagination can also be used to free you. The same inner faculty that creates nightmares can also birth miracles. And that is what they fear most. Not your rituals, not your crystals, not your words, but your capacity to imagine differently. You can be free the moment you stop rehearsing their story and begin to visualize your own. You do not need to undo the ritual. You only need to picture a new image so boldly, so consistently, that it displaces the seed they planted. Imagination is not child's play, it is divine technology. And every image you repeat becomes a program your life begins to obey. If she implanted the idea of separation, imagine reconciliation. If she projected poverty, imagine abundance. If she suggested sickness, imagine wholeness. And do not merely imagine from your mind. Imagine from the state, feel it, enter into the mood, walk in the scene, because what you imagine with emotion becomes your future. And once you flood your consciousness with an image saturated in faith, certainty, and divine love, no black magic can take root. The fourth toilet, which never expected you to fight back on the battlefield of the unseen. She never expected you to wake up and realize your imagination is not a slave. It's a sovereign throne, and once you sit on it, declaring what is true for you, the spell breaks, not because she gave up, but because your inner world no longer aligns with her vision. That's the secret. You don't fight spells. You replace them. You overwrite the image. You burn the film reel and write a new script. And in doing so, you reclaim your authorship. You stop being a character in her movie and become the director of your own. This is the holy reversal. They thought they could use your own imagination against you. But now you are using your imagination as your sword, your shield, your sanctuary, and there is no greater power. So let them conjure, let them flush, let them chant. It does not matter. If your inner eye sees light, you walk in light. If your imagination holds truth, no lie can bind you. If your vision is clear, no spell can confuse you. And if your mental movie is holy, no toilet ritual can stain you. For imagination is not illusion. It is the mother of reality. And when you claim it with discipline and divinity, you are no longer spellbound. You are spirit-bound. You are led by vision, not fear. You are guided by faith, not manipulation. The witches may use toilets, but you sit on thrones. They may deal in sewage, but you deal in glory and imagination. Your most sacred weapon is in your hands. Use it boldly, use it faithfully, use it as the spell that breaks all others, the final snare, sexual binding and psychic parasitism. There is a reason the enemy reserves their most desperate attacks for the domain of sex, because it is the deepest doorway into the soul. The fifth and final type of toilet, which operates not merely through ritual, symbols, or waste, but through intimate entanglement. She knows that when two souls unite physically, especially in states of heightened emotional vulnerability, the energy that is exchanged becomes more than bodily, it becomes psychic. Sexual energy is the highest form of creative power, and this which seeks to bind you not just in your loins, but in your spirit. She may not always come in darkness. Sometimes she is attractive, magnetic, mysterious. Sometimes she whispers pleasure, affirmation, or excitement, but beneath it all is a secret hunger not for connection, but for control. She uses sex as a ritual. The bed becomes her altar. The climax becomes the offering. And afterward you feel more than tired. You feel drained, disoriented, lost. You think it's because you were passionate, but passion doesn't deplete, it expands. What you've experienced isn't love, it's psychic parasitism. Your essence has been harvested. She has performed a soul exchange without you realizing it. The toilet ritual, whether symbolic or literal, may have been used beforehand to prepare the energetic cords. Perhaps your name, your fluids, your scent were collected and discarded in waste. Why? Because the intention is not love, it is bondage, and when she engages you sexually, she intends to seal the contract. Not just a soul tie, but a soul trap, and many never recognize it until it is too late. You begin to think about her constantly, you dream of her, you feel a strange longing, an irrational guilt if you try to move on. It's not because your heart is in love, it's because your soul has been hooked, and the hook was placed during intimacy, charged through waste rituals, and activated through your unguarded pleasure. She doesn't need to curse you directly. She simply needs to enter your sacred space and siphon what is divine. Because sex is divine, it is not dirty, nor weak, nor evil. It is creation itself, and that is what makes it dangerous in the wrong hands. The witch knows that what you join with sexually becomes part of your field. You can take a shower, cleanse your body, but unless you cleanse your energy, you are still carrying her. This is why toilet witches involved in sexual binding are so dangerous. They operate on multiple planes. Physical, emotional, imaginal, energetic. They lay cords into your subconscious through touch, whisper, movement, and climax. And if you are not spiritually awake, you may mistake this entrapment for passion. But here is the test. After union, do you feel peace or confusion? Do you feel full or hungry? Do you feel light or heavy? If the energy lingers like a weight, if your thoughts are no longer your own, if you can't focus, create, or pray, you've been bound. Not because you are weak, but because you were unguarded. She slipped past your walls under the mask of intimacy, and now she's feeding. This is the truth behind psychic vampirism. Not every drain is emotional. Some are erotic. Some are ritualized. Some involve toilets not because of filth, but because they symbolize the inversion of sacredness. What is pure is desecrated. What is holy is flushed, and you are the unaware participant, used as a battery for her intention. But understand this. What has been bound can be loosed. What has been drained can be restored. You are not doomed by one night, one mistake, one false bond. You are a temple, not because of perfection, but because of your awareness. And awareness breaks every spell. First, you must cut the cord, not with anger, but with clarity. Say aloud, I release this bond. I recall all parts of myself. I revoke every energetic contract made in ignorance. Then cleanse not just physically, but imaginally. Bathe in light, speak the truth over your body. I am sacred, I am sovereign, I am whole. Begin to visualize a new field around you, bright and sealed. Then begin to heal your imagination. If she implanted a story of guilt, shame, lust, or obsession, rewrite it. See yourself free, see yourself detached, see her presence fading, dissolving, retreating. She has no authority where your vision is renewed. Finally, guard your energy. Do not open your soul to anyone who feeds on you. Your body is not a bargaining chip. Your intimacy is not a tool of validation. It is a portal to divine power. Treat it with reverence. These witches target the lonely, the heartbroken, the curious, and the powerful, because they crave access to creative force. But if you stand in awareness, they cannot touch you. Their toilet rituals crumble, their seduction fails, their spells starve because you've sealed the gate. You've reclaimed your sexual energy as holy. You've said no, not with your mouth, but with your entire being, and no which can override a soul that knows itself. The final snare, sexual binding and psychic parasitism, relies entirely on your spiritual sleep. But if you awaken even a little, the chain breaks, and the witch is exposed, not as powerful, but as desperate, for without your energy her altar turns cold, without your imagination her ritual dies. Without your permission her cords wither. You do not need revenge, you need recognition. You do not need to match her darkness, you need to raise your frequency. Let her stay in the waste, you are rising. Let her drink from sewage, you drink from spirit. Let her conjure lovers like shadows. You are holding out for the real, and as you ascend you will feel the detachment, the grip loosens, the thoughts fade. The hunger dies, and all that remains is your restored soul. Clean, centered, and unbound, you are not a victim, you are a vortex, and from now on nothing enters your sacred space unless it comes in love, truth, and light.